Hey everyone, Mark here. Thank you for watching another Greenbridge Investing market analysis. This is a live stream, so what we're going to be doing here again is I want to focus on Bitcoin because I'm going to analyze the chart. We're going to take a look at a couple of things, a few altcoins as well, because we sent out some swing trade ideas yesterday evening, so I want to review those. Also, I want to take a quick look at the stock market because we've had some momentum follow through, which is very good for long swing trades on the stocks. And we're going to review a couple of stocks as well. So you know how this works. If you have any symbols or any markets that you would like to see, please share them in the channel now so that once I complete my analysis, I can go over the charts that you want to see and make this experience even more valuable to you. Also, if you're new to Greenbridge Investing, please make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Also, like the video if you like what I'm doing. And if you can, if it's not too much trouble, please share it with your social network. We would appreciate that a lot. It would be very helpful. All right, so with that being said, let's get started. This is for educational purposes only. For investment advice, please consult a licensed investment advisor. Now, as you know, today is Monday. So that means we go over the economic calendar very quickly. Now, again, this is particularly important for forex pairs, okay? It can also be important for the stock market in general, especially if you trade like, the NASDAQ 100 CFD, something like that, or the DAX. We've had a number of people take our DAX trade that we were in recently. So we want to be aware of these, okay? So starting out with today, we had the ECB president's speech, which was earlier. Obviously, we saw the outcome. It was, obviously the market's still strong, so no negative surprises there. And it looks like some of the pairs like the euro and the pound are trying to turn around. Okay, fine. We have tomorrow the German Harmonized Index of Consumer Prices. I wouldn't worry too much about that. China manufacturing, non-manufacturing PMI. I wouldn't worry too much about that. All right. Now, tomorrow evening at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Hey, DJ. We have the presidential debate. I made a mistake. I thought this was the Friday before because someone gave me misinformation. And since I don't follow the news at all, I believed it. So the presidential debate is tomorrow. Okay. Now, this can actually have an effect on the market depending on how it goes, depending on what is said. The futures will be open at the time that this is taking place. So just something to keep in mind. If there's any, surprises or whatever, the market may interpret it a negative way. We don't know. So a chart's not going to help you determine how this is going to affect the market. It also could have no effect at all. So just something to keep in mind, okay? Now, retail sales for Germany on 9/30, which is Wednesday. All right, again, that can affect something like the euro or the DAX. So if you're involved in those, you want to at least be aware that that's coming out. For the pound on 9/30, we have GDP for the British pound. All right, and for euro, we have consumer price index, core, and then consumer price index. Again, this is all on Wednesday, early AM, 5 a.m. Eastern time. So again, if you're not in those pairs, I wouldn't worry about it. Now, as we come to the close of the week, now 9:30 is also ADP employment change. This is usually like a preview of NFP. So if there's any surprises in there, it can affect the market, especially the S&P. GDP annualized. All right, inflation report hearings for the pound. I wouldn't worry about that one. Now, Friday, this is pretty much it, okay? Like, I forget these, doesn't matter. This one, on Friday, which is October 2, 8:30 a.m., non-farm payrolls. As you know, or you should know, that's the most important economic report next to the FOMC meetings that we see like every other month or whatever they come out. Non-farm payrolls is the first Friday of every month. It is the most important scheduled economic report because it can move markets in a dramatic way. It can also typically, on the average, it's a non-event, but if there are any surprises, it could move the market higher in a dramatic way or lower in a dramatic way. This affects everything, the dollar, forex pairs, stocks, everything. So just something to keep in mind. A chart will not tell you how to trade the outcome of such a report, because the report needs to come out first. Then we adjust, okay? Now, what we like on those reports is a non-event, because then all the levels are still pretty much the same, and it's, you know, it's business as usual. So that would be the nice outcome, the ideal outcome. Now let's get into Bitcoin here. So again, if you guys have any symbols or markets you'd like to see, I see a couple in the chat here. DJ put a couple in there. Hey, Michelle. So please put your symbols in the chat now. And once I conclude my analysis, I'm going to try to make this as short as I can, so that I'm not here for 2 hours. Because as DJ knows from the webinar that I conducted Saturday, I'm like the Geico commercial. I talk a lot. It's just what I do. So I'm going to try to avoid that today. Now, let's talk about Bitcoin here. We sent out a swing trade idea. If you notice, Andrew sent that out, and he used a limit order. Okay. When we send out limit orders, it's because we don't want to chase the market. Now, as we could see, the first inflection point that's been in my chart for now 2 weeks, right? I put this on my chart 2 weeks ago. And as you can see, we're getting, you know, first we had the outside bar. This is not exactly an outside bar, but you get the idea. We did a strong bullish candle back into the area, back into the 10-5 area, okay? And since then, it's just been lingering, all right? Now it's trying to make a move. Now, here's the thing. So I believe this trade is active, because today's low is 107.79, and we're now at 108.53. And I believe the order was, I can't remember exactly what the order is, because I didn't put this one out. Was it 108.50? Maybe DJ, you could tell me the entry, the limit order that we sent on this thing. But so that trade is active. And what we need to see here, okay, oh, cool, okay, nice. I believe, I just don't remember the exact number, because I was just looking at it before. See, sometimes Andrew sends out the trade signals, and sometimes I do. So obviously I know the ones that I send out. You know, and then one of us will take the actual trade in the account that we trade. So yeah, we sent out ChainLink as well. And we also sent out an alternate in Monero. And we're going to take a look at all those charts. I mean, that's why I'm doing this session, because I want to review that. But here's the key point. What we need to see here is follow through. So we're getting the move. The move is beginning, right? We need to see momentum follow through. 108.75. Thank you, DJ. So today's high is what? 109.50, which means that 1 point earlier, this thing was higher and it pulled back. And it filled our trade. So Andrew put that trade basically, what is that, 75 points below the market or whatever, and it pulled back to that area and filled it and went lower. It actually went lower. And now it's fooling around, you know, it's about what, 40 points against us or something like that, 35 points against us, whatever. That's nothing in the eyes of Bitcoin. But anyway, so the thing is, we need momentum follow through. And if we get momentum follow through, which is still a good chance, all right, what we need to see happen is this higher low right here, this lower high right here, that needs to be cleared. That level is, what is that level? Basically 183. So 11,200, let's just round it a bit. 11,200 needs to be cleared. If it can clear, that's a great sign. Why? Because we will at that point have a confirmed higher low. That's what that would be at that point. So it has to do all that to confirm the higher low, even though there's a higher low there right now. So why don't we call this a higher low? Because this can turn into a lower high. And this could be a range bound situation. This may consolidate. And that's why we need follow through. If this consolidates, all right, and it's too early to make that judgment, but if it does, meaning it can't push that high, then we're probably going to see a pullback toward that range low again, okay? And that's going to affect all the alts and everything else. That's why we're very careful about getting into too many positions. We warn our members, do not take all the trades, because, yeah, I know, DJ, Well, for one, there were signals all over the place, and we want to give our members more of a selection. You know, we realize we call a lot of stocks and stuff like that, stocks and options, which obviously you take advantage of, but many of our members are more Bitcoin and altcoin people. And I realized that when we send out, like, you know, short the queues, short a put on the queues, a large population of our members, they either don't know what that means, or they don't have a stock account, so it means nothing to them. So we definitely want to make an effort to at least get some more of these coin trades out there, because most of the people that come to us, that's what really that their interest is, from what I can see. So that's why we sent out, again, but we encourage people, do not take them all. You have to, you know, if there's buy signals in a bunch of them, it's basically just one big Bitcoin trade, okay? So if you like Bitcoin more than the other ones, you know, you buy Bitcoin. If you like ChainLink, you know, you buy ChainLink, but you really shouldn't buy Bitcoin, ChainLink, and the whole group of them, because if Bitcoin pulls back, because it's still the leader, then you're going to see pain across the board, okay? And it's unnecessary. So remember, in this game, to get ahead, it's really about managing risk first, not chasing profit. Chasing profit gets you absolutely nowhere. You know, there are many other signal providers out there, and what they do to pull people in is they call lots of signals, because the novice investor or trader believes that more signals is better, but it's actually not. You know, and then they show these track records. I look at them, I'm like, I don't know. You know, I don't know, you know, there's no way to prove if those track records are real or not, but I find them hard to believe that if you're calling 30 trades in a month, you know, I just find it hard to believe that 25 or 26 of them or 27 of them are all profitable trades, you know, especially on the time frames that they're calling. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Anyway, the point is this. If this thing pulls back, okay, now of course we have our stop. We just have to let this thing do its job. If this thing pulls back, the next inflection point that we can see is here, right? Back to this 10.5 area. We may get that higher low. It's possible. So just something to keep in mind, all right? So if we see that, the thing is not to react, not to overreact or anything like that. Let the market do its job, because these things can be noisy. Especially we have this pin bar developing here. We don't want to see that, but it's way too early. Can't make any judgments on that. All right, so just a couple of things I wanted to put out. All right, so that's Bitcoin. So that trade is active, and we're going to see how it goes. Like I said, we need to see follow through. If we get the confirmation, you should be in good shape, okay? Because then we're on our way to back to the mid to high 11Ks. There's a resistance up in there, as we all know. But, you know, we have targets, and we'll be reducing risk along the way there. That's the idea. So let's take a look at how this will affect other pairs. So ChainLink, right? Now this one was a buy stop at, what was it? 1120, I believe, was the order that was sent out. If you look at today's high, it's 1107. So you see, by using the type of order that you use can really help in managing risk. Because if we had just bought into this as an emotional, like, hey, it looks good, just buy it, which is what a lot of people do. If you did that, now, you know, you're probably taking pain, because this thing's at 1058. Meanwhile, our order was at 1120, never touched. So this trade is not active, okay? So if this thing pulls back, like, you know, if Bitcoin pulls back and this thing pulls back too, we're not in it. And that's the whole idea. Now, something like ChainLink, this is a nice looking chart in general, and we have an inflection point right there. So if this thing does retrace, it's very likely that we see the higher low. And I would love if this also was parallel to Bitcoin. Like if this was taking place while Bitcoin was doing the same thing, I would love to see the higher low develop right there, which is basically the $9 area. That would be an ideal spot to buy ChainLink, if it can do it. There's no guarantee that it'll do it. You know, if Bitcoin follows through and breaks higher, this will probably, you know, tap us in and go. So we don't know which one it's going to choose. The market must choose. But here's the other thing. These trades are a little aggressive. Why? I mean, I shouldn't say little. They are aggressive. Why? we have not taken out this lower high just yet, which is that 13.15. But you know what? Because the general market, like something like Bitcoin, is generally strong, and these altcoins do not trade on their own, we're basically betting on Bitcoin. So while these structures may not be the best, if Bitcoin goes and Ethereum goes, these are probably going to take out that resistance, and they should be, okay. That will also signal that this bearish structure, this corrective structure, is no longer in play, okay, which would be nice to see. If you're long at that point, you have to try to hold on and let that thing ride. Let that thing run at that point, because this bearish, this corrective stuff should no longer have the control that it has now. All right, now that's ChainLink. Now let me just take a look at Monero real quick. XMR USD. So hey photo guy, they're in our chat room. We send them out. We send them out by text. Andrew puts them in the chat room. They're there. Take a look at Monero. Right, and that's right. Our fees are very low. I mean, I don't know. There's not too many people that are at our price point, by the way, as far as signals and membership things go. They're usually double or triple our price point, and I really don't know the type of quality that they deliver. Anyway, so Monero. So this is the other one. Okay, now Monero is a different type of trade. We talk about these trades. This is a breakout trade. Now, the higher low is now established because we took out this high. We took out this high here. We closed above it, which is a good sign. Now it's fooling around a bit. Okay, fine. But the high here was 97.16. Took it out, and now this higher low is now there. We can say, okay, that's a higher low, because when there's a higher low, it often leads to a higher high. So what now? Well, if you took this trade, we need the follow through. If it doesn't follow through, then we may see the failed high. Okay, it's possible to see the failed high at this location, but this chart is bullish. So even if we see the failed high, what is likely to follow? Who can tell me? Let's see if you guys are on the same page. If we see the failed high, okay, what is likely to follow the failed high in this context? Because the failed high, although that's typically a bearish sign, doesn't mean that's a trend reversal. So what is reasonable to see if we get the failed high? What would you anticipate next as a decent probability? This is how I'm teaching you guys and girls how to shape your thought process. And if you don't know the answer, that's okay. You could just say, I don't know. And that's no problem. So now Michelle is saying double top. So Michelle, let's say, the double top relative to this move here, right? I mean, that's probably what you're looking at. Let's say that stays intact and we get the pullback, okay? Because that's part of the failed high. What is likely to follow? AT, you got it. Higher low, AT, higher low. So I would be looking for the higher low. So, and how is this helpful? Well, what if you bought the breakout and you're like, oh man, I just bought the top? Well, this is not exactly the top. If you get the higher low and that thing holds the higher low, all right, no problem, photo guy. If that thing holds the higher low, you're likely to break higher in the next leg. Knowing that is what allows you to hold on to the winner, okay, instead of reacting. Now, of course, we have a stop and all that stuff, so it's not like you have no place to get out. But if this thing doesn't go to the stop and it holds the higher low, you now have a good trade on your hands there, because most likely it's going to test that high again and probably break out, because where there's a higher low, it's usually followed by a higher high. And at that point, I would be looking for a test of this high here, which is the 105 area, okay? So just something to keep in mind. Now, if this thing gets a little bearish and pulls into that higher low area, you may see some negative news. Bitcoin won't look so good. It's not going to look very pleasant. You have to ignore that information and watch the level on the chart. And you have to ask yourself, how does it close? Does it go to that area and just close really bearish and really weak? Or does it go into that area and close like, it gives you like a doji, or it gives you like a pin bar? The close is how you make your judgment, not an open candle. That's why I like where it is right now. We have this doji-like candle. That's an inside bar. It doesn't really mean anything right now. And this thing may close and then tomorrow take out the high, which would be a continuation pattern to go long. That's why you can't prejudge these things, okay? Let the candle close. I'm just preparing you in case, we see that pullback scenario, so you'll be prepared on how to think instead of react, okay? So I just wanted to run those by you. Now, so that's Bitcoin and the altcoins, and that was really like the main gist of my analysis here. Now, real quick, I want to take a look at the NASDAQ. All right, look at this. This is what you get when you get a higher low. On Friday, we sent out a short put signal, okay? It must have been around, I don't know what time he sent it out, like 3 o'clock. It was toward the close of the day. And it was, we saw this developing. This is Friday's candle right here. This is Friday's candle. We saw that and it's like, wow, this thing is going to go higher, okay? And I talked about a few stocks, which we can take a look at today, and how to take advantage of this situation. Didn't actually make calls on them, but just put them on your radar. So we'll take a look at those. The point is, this thing was a long, okay? And now it's following through, and it's closing on its high. I mean, we're closing in 15 minutes, and this thing is going to close on its high. Wow. So overall, remember, we've been bearish. Like in August, we started getting bearish, saying, how much higher can this go without a pullback? We got a pullback, all right, from this high, right, to the lows that we've been fooling around with. But these lows, as we've been pointing out, this is really like, it put in like a double bottom and a failed low at the same time at an inflection point, and hasn't even touched its trend support, which was what, the 10-200 area over here. This is a strong market, okay? This formation that we have right now, if you zoom out, is a big, giant, higher low. So I'm not anticipating a higher high in this market going into the election. I'm not anticipating this, although anything is possible. What I am anticipating is, a run to somewhere around here, something like that, and then you get some indecision, some pullback, and we're basically establishing a range, okay, until after the election. Why is the election so important? Because it's a source of uncertainty. We don't have to be political here. It's about how the herd or how the participants are going to handle the uncertainty, because there's all kinds of drama and all kinds of news coming out at all times. And some little piece of news can make people change their minds on something real quick. So that's why I would not anticipate that higher high. I think it's more within reason to see the market range, meaning there'll be more buying opportunities. Okay, if you're not in on anything on this one, not to worry, because there'll be pullbacks, and those pullbacks will most likely be buying opportunities, especially for swing trades. So being long the NASDAQ right now, being long the S&P, being long stocks for a swing trade is definitely not a bad idea. All right, so that's the NASDAQ. And just real quick, let's take a look at the S&P and see how it compares. I mean, look at that. Look at that, okay? This thing is strong. In fact, look, I had the inflection point on my chart. I don't remember when I drew this in. But the inflection point was pretty obvious. And this is the type of reaction you want to see. Now, you can argue and say, but there's a lower high in place over here. Yes, there is. But remember, what carries more weight is the larger picture trend. And the larger picture trend, there's no question that that is bullish. Okay? Look back here. There was a lower high back here too. Anyone that got really bearish and shorted that, you know, I believe we had some shorts in there, but we were quick about them and we get out. Okay? Whoever stayed short with an opinion didn't work out very well. Okay? So just something to keep in mind. Cannot have opinions. So again, good for stocks. Now, and this, by the way, this typically the S&P affects the entire world. So global markets will feel this also. I mean, real quick, if we take a look at the DAX, DE30 EUR, okay? I mean, look, this is an old trade, so never mind that. But look, the DAX closed strong today, all right? we closed we had our short DAX position, we closed it. But same situation, higher low, and this thing was acting relatively weak to the S&P, but see the S&P popped, this thing popped. So just something to keep in mind. These things really don't trade too much on their own. The S&P kind of leads, at least for now. All right, so let's get into, I want to just look at a forex pair real quick. And then we're going to get into your stocks and everything that you guys want to see. So I want to take a look at, first let's take a look at the euro. Now, so the euro has been, oh great, Mike, thanks. The euro has been weak as we saw like with the dollar reversal. If we take a look at the dollar index real quick, right, the dollar had the higher low. See, we got the higher high, and now it's starting to get a little heavy, all right? And we may see a little retrace here. Now, will the dollar resume its bearish trend? I don't know. We do have a higher low, which is typically a sign of change. And we also took out these resistances here, this little resistance area here. So I would be looking for a higher low to develop in the dollar in case, you know, it's going to do that. If it doesn't do that, then, you know, we're back to dollar bear and euro and everything else will be rallying. So just something to keep in mind. That's something you should look at if you're into Forex. So now we have what's developing. This could be a very aggressive buy signal developing in the euro. But I would not take that aggressive signal. Now, look, the euro is generally strong, okay? But the euro took out these supports over here, and it's coming from a lower high. Remember in the webinar we talked about, where is it coming from? So it's coming from the lower high. In theory, what this thing should do is produce another lower high, just like we're expecting a higher low from the dollar index or the dollar. If it doesn't do that and instead pulls back and gives us a higher low, then we'll know to start going long euro, okay, and forget dollar longs. So I just want to point that out, because look at the dollar franc, right? The dollar franc looks just like the dollar index, because basically you're trading the dollar and looking for the higher low in the dollar franc. It's inverse to the euro. So we'll see, you know, all fundamentals aside, we're going to see how that plays out. If we get a continuation of the dollar rally, we'll be prepared for it. If we do not get the continuation of the dollar rally, then, you know, we're going to adjust to that as well. So that brings me to gold. See, gold, the euro, they all look the same, right? Because they're all against the dollar. Now, some people may think, oh, this is a great time to get into gold. Well, let's take a look at that. You know, you do have this range low support. So this is an aggressive long because you're still going against the momentum. Now, the broader trend is bullish. So you would say, oh, but you know, how is it aggressive when I'm buying something that's still generally strong? Well, you can look at it that way, but the recent momentum is bearish. So what that means is this thing, it's possible for this thing to test lower prices, slightly lower prices, before resuming that bigger picture trend. Now, common mistake in these situations, again, is you buy it too early because like, all right, I'm buying the bottom. It might be, but it might not be. And there's really no way to know, or to really, you know, you could measure your risk here, but there's no way to know if this is going to be the leg that really recovers quickly. So the more conservative thing to do, and this will save you a lot of money in the long run, is you let the thing establish its initial move, which means you miss it, okay? And then you wait for the pullback, the high or low, just like I described in those other pairs. All right, so you let that thing do its thing, miss the initial move. Now, if you're feeling aggressive and you're like, I don't care, you want to buy some, hey, you know, that is a very aggressive buy signal. But trying to catch those initial moves can be very costly. So that's why, you know, if you have some, you know, you don't care and you can lose the money, all right, no problem. But like I said, the more conservative thing to do is to wait. And that's why when it comes to sending trade signals, I don't send out these aggressive ones because I don't want people to get caught in the noise if they don't work out. All right, especially for newer traders. I would rather send out the conservative signal, which has a much better probability of playing out. And that's what I would want. Now, because I do that, you know, we send out less trades, and I think a lot of people, when they come to us, they're expecting more and more trades. So we'll get aggressive in certain areas, but not in this one. All right, so that's gold. Now that's pretty much what I wanted to go over. All right, so now let's get into your pairs here. And if you have any questions about any of the things that I just mentioned now, please just ask them in the chat and I'll get to it. Also, if you're new to Greenbridge, I just have to say this real quick. Please go to our website, greenbridgeinvesting.com. We have swing trade signals by text, by email. Remember, they're swing trades, so we don't have lots and lots of them, but 2 to 3 a week is within reason right now. Also, we have portfolio management ideas and a chat room where we're sharing insight and perspective each day. Also, subscribe to the channel here. All right. Press the like button if you like my video. And if you can, if it's not too much trouble, please share my video with your social network. And that would really help me out a lot. So thank you for that. All right, let's get into what you guys want to see. So DJ, MITK, and NILSY. All right, so MITK, this is one that I know has been on Andrew's radar for a while. And I believe there was a nice trade in this. But right now, I wouldn't do anything with this right now. This here is a consolidation. And the broader trend, no question, is bullish. Okay, so that's nice to see. We have an inflection point right there, and we have an inflection point. They're pretty much overlapping right there. You have a range low right here. So if I was going to do anything with this thing, in real time or right now, I would wait for it to go back to that range low or somewhere near the range low. All right, that would be around the $10 and actually $11.50 area, something like that. This thing is fooling around right now at $12.93. So while this thing could break out, and that would be again an aggressive trade, I tend to shy away from these things that are fooling around range highs that have made some attempt to break out and have not. So I would prefer to wait for the pullback on something like this. And if it breaks without you, so what, right? You don't lose anything. It's just really a matter of risk. If you buy this thing right now at, what is this, $12.93, and it pulls back, now you got to sit in this thing, for what, maybe $1 against you, and that would be when it's pulling into a much more ideal place. Okay, so and also you have to look at it this way. If it breaks out, how far is it going to go without running into trouble? Well, you have the failed high region right in here. Whereas, so what is that in terms of price? So 13.5. So you're looking at like maybe another 50 or 60 cents before it starts running into trouble and possibly fail, which might be an inflection point that you may have to sell. So is that really worth the risk? Not really. So I'd rather wait. Okay, that's how I feel about this one. All right, so thank you for sharing that, MITK. Now let's take a look at NILSY. Let's see what this is here. So this is let's see, is this the right symbol? Yeah, okay, it looks like I got the right symbol. By the way, if you have any altcoins that you'd like to see, just please make sure you put USD after the symbol so I make sure I get the right symbol, okay? Because then sometimes I don't read the chat and I speak about the thing for 20 minutes and no one wanted to see it. Now, so NILSY. So right away, here's what I see. I see a lower high right there. I see a lower high over here. All right, I see a little series of lower highs, like basically bearish momentum in this area here. Now, what's going for this thing? Well, let's see. You have a support there. It's slightly lower than the support. So you do have a possible failed low situation, but you are fighting a structure that's not so favorable. Okay, we've seen many stocks with very nice bullish structure, not this. So while this could bounce, right? It's possible that it could bounce. Even at the moment, this candle is not closing very good. Okay, it's closing bearish, right? This thing's got 2 minutes before it closes. Not a good close. So I would wait on this one. Okay. In this situation, now I called something NYCB, which I mentioned recently, which had a similar situation where it was really, really bearish. But I was looking for a sharp retrace, basically off of a support level, something like this, except at least NYCB, I think, was showing a little bit more of a better reversal candle. This has got nothing here right now. So I would hold off on this, right? So the location isn't bad for a long, but just keep in mind, this is a very aggressive long. It's very aggressive because you are fighting this structure and there's no sign that this thing is turning. So the conservative thing to do, if you want to wait and let that initial move go without you, right? Let that thing push up a bit and then give you the higher low. That's the conservative thing, but you may not get that. Okay, so you want to give that a try. If anything, I would wait. I would wait for this thing to develop at least a bullish close and then take out the high of the close, trying to play that initial move. Okay, and a reasonable target for something like that would be the middle of the range. All right, which would be around here somewhere, $26, somewhere around there. Expecting this thing to go all the way to a high like this with such bearish structure in the way is not reasonable right now. So that's how I would measure that one. So you could probably get some good reward risk out of that once this thing shows a better sign of stability. Okay, so what does this say? Is this a metals play? Norris nickel. Is this a play on metals? Not familiar with the stock, but okay. Thank you for bringing that one up, DJ. All right, so let me see what else we got here. Okay, so that was that one. Twitter. Chris wants Twitter, TWTR. All right. By the way, if you missed my webinar, I conducted a webinar on Saturday about trade setups. It's going to be in our webinar library. If you had registered for it and didn't show up, you should have gotten an email with the link to it. Okay, so if you had not received the email, again, after you registered and didn't come, maybe it's in your spam folder. You want to check that out. But I'm going to put it in the webinar library. So if you're not a free member of Greenbridge, make sure you sign up and you should be able to see it there. All right, now Twitter. So nice structure on Twitter overall. All right, haven't been a big fan of this stock, but can't argue with that structure. Bullish. Now, you're in an area here. That's a failed high area. So it's trying to break out. Very risky area to get long. Now you see the nice higher low here? Wow, what a nice higher low. That's what you want to see. This move that you see here is what you want to see after a higher low. That's some follow through. So right now is not a place to be buying it though, okay? Because all the people that were buying here are now going to be selling here, right? And you don't want to be buying it from them. You want to be buying it when it gets into a more attractive area. So I would hold off on buying this, although right now it appears to be a long, okay? So you have to wait for an inflection point or some sort of support level at least. And if you look at this, I mean, we should have been paying more attention to this. This one would have been a nice play off of that area, right? The high in this area is what, 39.5, and this thing's at 44.20 right now. That would have been nice. But at this point, you know, that's the closest inflection point you have, is that area. So I would wait before doing anything. I would wait for some kind of pullback. Maybe you get a higher low, but I would wait for a pullback of some kind and then look to measure my risk. I wouldn't buy this here. Now, the stock market, of course, has some room to run higher, and this thing may run as well, but you're not getting good reward risk. That's the problem. Many stocks will go. You know, you may see something like, oh yeah, it's kind of breaking out. Should I buy it? And it may run somewhat without, you know, and you could have bought it and you could have made a little money. The question that you always have to ask, though, is was it worth the risk? So if you buy this and it goes up $1 or $2 and you close it and you made $200, okay, cool, on 100 shares, nice, okay, great. But what was at risk? So if you buy this thing, right, let's say right now at 44.20, let's say, and this thing pulls back, you know, to, let's say, 39.5, let's say it pulls back to 38, that's, you know, that's $6 and then you may bang it out. So you're willing to lose $6 to only make $2. In the long run, you cannot make money that way. So that's why it's better when they're in risky locations, it's better to let them go and wait for a better location. It's not the short-term profit. It's not that little move that makes you money in this game. It's taking high probability trades consistently and taking risks that are smaller relative to what you're looking to win. All right, is Twitter going to run to $50? I mean, it's hard to believe. It can happen, But typically, in these situations, you're better off waiting. Okay, even if that trade right now is worth, you know, a couple of points, it's not worth the risk, and that's the key point there. All right, so thanks for bringing that one up, Twitter. Okay, Michelle, cool. So Michelle wants to see Ethereum and ChainLink. Okay, cool. So let's take a look at Ethereum real quick. Now, Ethereum, of course, is going to be following along Bitcoin. It should be. Now, I've been looking at this chart. In fact, I wrote a TradingView article on Ethereum. I didn't get as many views as my Bitcoin article, but that's okay. I guess Ethereum is not as popular as it used to be, or maybe just no one likes the titles that I choose. It's probably the titles. So here's the thing with Ethereum, and when I published that article, these boxes, I didn't adjust my chart right, and the boxes didn't show up. Maybe that's why people didn't like it. All you have to do is move the chart. Anyway, so here's the thing with Ethereum. If Bitcoin goes, this thing should go. It should follow through. What I like is these green candles are holding, like they're sustaining. That's good. But the ideal place to be buying Ethereum, for at least for a swing trade, would be this area here, which is the 340 area. And you know, right now doesn't look like it's pulling back to that yet. But if it pulls back to there, Michelle, that's really a much more ideal place, okay, for Ethereum. If it clears that, you can see a test of 300 again, which is an even a more ideal location. Now remember, it's not the locations that compel us to take a trade signal. It's the confirmation that follows a test of the location. So the location is only step one, right? So we'll see. Now, if it may not retest any of these, and if Bitcoin breaks out, then Ethereum should clear this area here, which is kind of holding this thing back right now, right? That's the resistance that's holding it back. And you're looking at that 390 area, basically 400, right? If it clears that 400, then this thing should be in good shape, okay? For at least trying to reach up into this area, the mid 420s or whatever. That should get a nice run. Of course, we're going to need Bitcoin to follow along with that. So that's what I'm looking for right now. What is not, you know, this right now can go either way. And that's why I would not buy this right now, especially since, you know, we have Bitcoin on and there's no reason to overload on these. But if it does provide the opportunity and you're interested in Ethereum, I would wait for that pullback, you know, at least that test of 340 if it gets there. And if it reverses, that would probably give you a much better reward risk and better situation. Okay, so it's something to keep an eye on there. That's Ethereum. But overall, I mean, as long as it holds up, it's generally bullish. Let's take a look at ChainLink, which I took a look at earlier. So ChainLink is the same situation, right? And we talked about this. So we sent out that swing trade, and it never activated. At 1120, I believe was the number, never activated. So we just have to wait and see how this thing wants to behave now. So either it pulls back, gives us the higher low, or it breaks higher and gets us in. The key level that it needs to take out to prove that the structure, that the bearish corrective structure is no longer in play, is that level, which is basically the high 12s or basically 13, needs to clear that. And if it does, that's a great sign. So I would, you know, if you're in a bunch of other alts, I would not overload. So no reason to buy this one yet if you're not in it. You know, let this thing, at least if you have the trade idea that we sent out, then just wait for the numbers, let it do the job for you. Okay, let the market do all the work for you. So that's ChainLink. Thanks for bringing that one up. Okay, so let's see what else we have here. Yeah, okay. So photo guy. Yeah, right. Okay, so that's from before. I'm just catching up on the chat here. So Mike, okay, cool. HS, OMG. All right, let's take a look at OMG. So now, so OMG and OMG USDT, you know, it should be the same chart. Okay, so this one's on Coinbase. I'm looking at the Coinbase chart. Now, look at that. Okay, nice move off of this nice higher low. That would have been, I mean, that's a tough inflection point. I have another chart. In fact, you know what? Hold on. I have another chart here. What chart is this? That's the Coinbase chart. I have a chart with levels on it. Hold on a second. Let me go to that chart. So that's, I mean, that's a long signal. It's in play though. So you can't chase this thing. And this is doing what, like, you know how I described on Ethereum and on ChainLink needs to take out that lower high resistance? This thing went right to it. This is what you want to see. Okay. Okay, I'm back. Looks like I'm back on. All right. Sorry about that. Yeah, my ISP, you know, real good. They always do this to me, like around they always do it around the same time. Okay, when I'm streaming these. So let me continue here. Like I was going to say, if really must get in, while it's challenging this resistance here, it hasn't closed above. So around and give you the failed high. But if it continues and you're like, all right, I really want to be in this thing, one alternative is you just go in smaller. So if you normally buy like 100 coins or 50 coins, buy a smaller percentage. Buy like maybe 10% of what you would normally buy. So if you normally buy 50 coins, buy 5 coins. Okay, and at least you have a piece of it if it continues. Sorry about that, guys. My ISP sucks. They always do this to me. And so like I was saying, you can buy take a... Okay, I should be back now. All right, sorry about that. I'm going to have you all send... All right. Again, this thing keeps going on and off, everyone, so I apologize. I can see it. Every time it goes off, I see it tells me. So sorry about that. All right, so again, all right, so let me get off OMG here, but that's the deal. I love OMG. Looks like a long. I'd rather see a pullback, you know, before buying it off of such a vertical bar, but it has some potential to run here. You know, it's just I would go in smaller so that you don't have to take all that risk. Okay, if this thing pulls back from here, you know, you're facing like a test of like that, and that's definitely no fun. Okay, if you get caught in something like that. All right, so that's that one. Thanks for bringing that one up. Is this thing giving me another error here? What does this thing say? All right, let me see where we are here, where I am on the... I'm back now. All right, again, sorry, again, I apologize, everyone, for the unstable stream. I don't know what's going on here with my connection. You know, I don't understand them. But anyway, okay, so, yeah, so DJ says, my simple charts that people don't like. Right, I know I should make them more complex. I understand. I should probably write like a book on, you know, people stuff on the chart. I should probably write like a book and put it all on the charts, and then people will probably look up my charts. All right, so Christian, ADA. This is another one. Cardano. Let me see if I can get this on here. So that's ADAUSD or ADAUSDT. This probably has more complete chart. No, ADA. Now my, is this thing, there we go. It's a little bit more of a complete chart. So this one was another one. I was actually looking at this one. This is another good one. Okay. Well, so no, so DJ, yeah, you know, I'm getting this crazy readout here on my side. It keeps telling me that I'm on, then I'm off, then I'm on, then I'm off. Like I don't understand this thing at all. But when it stays on, I'm just going to keep going. It just keeps going on. There it goes. It just keeps going on and off, on and off. What's up with this? Okay. Anyway, all right, here we go. So ADA, Cardano. This thing, I think they don't like that I stream. I think that's what it is. They just don't like it. All right. Maybe I'm using up too much of their bandwidth. I don't know. All right. So what I was saying here is with this took out the resistance. Okay. You see that? It took out the resistance. Can't buy this thing now, Chris. Can't buy. This thing could develop into a failed high. And that's not something, again, just like OMG, there's no reason to take that, to be exposed to something like that. So with something like this, it's a great sign. It's a great development that's no longer in play. Okay, that's what it's telling us, and that's what it's confirming if it can close nicely above this resistance here, like it's attempting to do. At this point, though, I would wait for pullback. Okay, that's probably the best thing to do. Or like I was saying with these things are super cheap to begin with. You could take a small bite, and if it pulls back, you can add to it. MKRUSD. All right, let's take a look. And I'll wait for my data to come back on. MKR, wow, that's not really a useful chart there. MKRUSDT. Is that one better? Let's see. Oh man. Is this one a new, is this one Maker Tether? MKRUSD. I mean, I'm not getting much data there on MKR. I guess it's called Maker. I'm not getting much data on that. So can't do anything with that chart at all. This thing is, what is this? There's another pair. All right, I tried to reestablish my connection. Maybe that was it. I would like to, I know I'd like to finish this session here at least, so everyone sees. I think I solved it. All right, you guys should see me now, and you should see Maker. Okay, I'm looking at it on Binance, so there's plenty of data there. Now, you should be able to hear me now. Here, I'm going to type it in the chat. Let me make sure. Can you hear me? Why isn't it? Hold on. It keeps going on and off. My signal is weak. I apologize for that. Again, it's my ISP. But every time I see the problem, I'm just going to keep trying to reestablish it here. Okay, so Maker, same situation. Now, it's trying to break this resistance right here. Okay, it's trying to do that, but you do have a double bottom in place here. All right, if this connection just keeps at this like this, I'm just going to stop. All right, hold on. Yeah, I'm still getting the error. I don't know what's going on here. All right, sorry about that, everyone. All right, I'm just gonna wrap this up because it just keeps doing the same thing to me, and I don't understand why. So, all right, so Tezos. I wanted to go over Tezos. All right, so I'll just pick that up next time. All right, everyone. So here, I'm just gonna wrap this up. I don't know why my connection is so unstable right now. Keeps going in and out. I see that it's back on right now. It's on for like a few seconds, then it goes off, then it goes back on. All right, so I'll just finish up with Maker. We have this double bottom here. You have those are good signs, but I want to see this thing take out this resistance area. What is that? 531. 531. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm getting some weird messages here. All right, but anyway, so I would like to see at least take out 531. It's trying to, which is a good sign. If you're in something like this, great. If you're not in, there are better charts out there. So I wait for a better chart. Again, just like some of those other ones we looked at. All right, I'd rather wait for the higher low. I don't know if you guys can see that. Let me see if this thing is following along. I think it's trying to, and it keeps going off. All right, you guys. Yeah, so I'm gonna wrap this up because I don't know what's going on here with my connection. But watch, that's what it is.